I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. Last weekend didn't feel real at first. I kept replaying every second in my mind, trying to convince myself I imagined it. But no, the dent in my credit card and the empty pint of ice cream on my couch prove otherwise. 13 missed calls. That's what I woke up to this morning. From him. This story isn't about a bad breakup or some cringy date gone wrong. No. This is about the moment I realized the man I'd loved for 2 years was nothing more than a beautifully packaged lie. Ryan. My boyfriend of 2 years. Not some fling, not a situationship. We had rituals, shared holidays, Netflix Sundays, and even tried that awful couples yoga class. We both sucked at it. Things weren't perfect, they never are, but I thought we were solid. We were even talking about moving in this summer. Sure, he had quirks. Leaving socks everywhere, texting through every movie, and tossing out unsolicited style tips like, "That shirt makes your arms look bigger," or, "Ever thought of a new hairstyle?" I brushed it off. Honesty, right? Past me thought that made him authentic. Last Friday he finally invited me to a work dinner, a first. He'd always kept me separate from his professional life, claiming it was unprofessional to mix work and relationships. So I was excited. Dumbly so. I spent hours getting ready. YouTube tutorials, expensive straightener, makeup I rarely wear. Even bought a new outfit. Budget be damned. The restaurant? Fancy. No prices on the menu. You know the type. That should have been my first red flag. He was already there when I arrived, with 2 co-workers, Leonard and Pablo. The air shifted the moment I walked in. Ryan barely looked up, giving me a lazy half-stand and a cold, "You're late." 2 minutes late. Because I circled the block 3 times for parking. Then he saw my dress, dark blue, simple, elegant, and said not quietly, "Oh, you wore that?" His co-workers shared a look. One of those looks. My face burned. I joked, "Was there a dress code I missed?" He shrugged. We already ordered appetizers. For the next hour, I sat there, alien in my own relationship, listening to Ryan talk endlessly about work. When I tried to contribute, he'd cut me off, correct me, or, the worst, condescend. At one point, I mentioned something from my job, I manage a retail store and proudly so, and he chuckled, turning to his friends, "She doesn't really get how the real business world works." Dismissive. Belittling. Like I wasn't even there. That's when the pit formed in my stomach. Was this who he really was? Or had I just been too blind to see it? Leonard, the quiet one, suddenly asks how Ryan and I met. I smile, finally a chance to speak, and begin telling the story. It's kind of sweet how Vanessa, my best friend who also happens to be Ryan's co-worker, introduced us. But halfway through my sentence, Ryan cuts me off with a smirk. Yeah, Vanessa felt bad for her. I was doing her a favor, really? And then he laughs. No one else does. Not even Pablo. I blink. My stomach actually sinks. That's not even remotely true. Vanessa warned me about Ryan's ego before we ever met. Said he could be cocky, but that deep down he was a great guy. Spoiler, he wasn't. I excuse myself to the bathroom, mostly to avoid crying at the table. Inside the stall, I whip out my phone and start texting Vanessa. What is happening? As I'm typing, a notification pops up. Ryan has just tagged himself at this exact restaurant on Instagram. Caption. Boys' night out, cocktail glass spaghetti. Sitting. Right. There. He acts like I don't exist. Vanessa calls me instantly. But I decline it. No way am I letting them hear me cry through a bathroom stall wall. I splash water on my face, reapply some lipstick with shaky hands, and give myself a sad little pep talk in the mirror. Something about dignity. About not letting them break me. When I return, they're all laughing at something. Until I sit down. The silence is sharp. The server brings our food. I had ordered spaghetti, one of the cheaper items on the menu, because I was already stressed about the cost. Ryan glances at my plate. Carb loading for a marathon? I force a polite smile. That's a bold choice for someone with your body type. Every word is like a paper cut. Small, stinging, cumulative. I poke at my food, too stunned to eat. I just want the night to end. Then Pablo brings up some project at work. A presentation. Ryan launches into a dramatic retelling of how his boss loved his ideas and that he's now leading the entire initiative. My brain stutters. Last week he told me he was just doing a 5-minute section and was terrified. Now he's the star? It hits me. He's rewriting reality. For them. For himself. Then the server returns with the check. Places it delicately on the table. Ryan picks it up. Looks at it. Pauses. Then he slides it toward me. At first I think he's just showing me the total. But then he says the words. The ones I'll never forget. You know what? I don't think this is working. I stare at him. Waiting for a joke. There isn't one. I've been trying, he says like he's some tragic martyr, but I'm just not attracted to you anymore. I think we should break up. In a restaurant. In front of his friends. After 2 years. I'm frozen. Shocked. Humiliated. Are you serious right now? This is how you want to do this? He stands up. Grabs his jacket like this is any normal Friday night. And then he says, with this smug, empty smile. I still get a knot in my gut just thinking ABO. A girl like you should be grateful I even dated you this long, Ryan sneered. You're not exactly a prize. And then he walked out. With Pablo. With Leonard. All three of them left the restaurant, laughing. I sat there. Alone. Staring at the $347 bill for Wagyu beef and overpriced cocktails I barely touched. The waiter approached gently, his expression almost pitying, which made everything feel even worse. I nodded, handed over my credit card, still drowning from Christmas debt, and prayed my face wouldn't completely fall apart before I made it to the car. Outside I called Vanessa. Tried to speak. Failed. I was crying so hard she couldn't understand a word. She showed up at my apartment less than an hour later with Ben & Jerry's and a bottle of red wine. Actual angel status. Between sobbing and stress-eating cookie dough, I told her everything. She was livid. Like pacing the living room plotting vengeance, livid. I had to physically stop her from driving to Ryan's apartment to remind him who really needed help dressing themselves. But then something changed in her face. A shift. She got quiet. Her questions became focused. What exactly did he say about work? She asked. About the project? His title? I blinked. Marketing exec. Big presentation. Promotion soon. Vanessa exhaled almost like she was about to laugh, but it wasn't funny. Sabrina. Ryan doesn't work in marketing. He wasn't some rising corporate star. He was an assistant. An assistant. He made coffee runs. Scheduled meetings. That's it. The big presentation? He made the PowerPoint for the people doing the actual presenting. The LinkedIn title he flaunted? Complete fiction. Every business trip? Fabricated. I felt like I'd been sucker punched. 2 years of this. Of lies. Of stories. Of manipulation. How many other things had I swallowed without question? After Vanessa left that night, I went full detective mode. Scrolled through texts, double-checked photos, retraced events. The inconsistencies were everywhere. Messages about being on site, when his phone location showed he was across town. Late nights at the office, when he was clearly somewhere else. I couldn't sleep. My mind was caught in a looping reel, the restaurant humiliation, the debt, the lies. At 3:07 a.m., a text buzzed on my phone. Unknown number. Hey, it's Cody from Ryan's office. Vanessa gave me your number. There's some stuff you should know. That was the moment things truly got interesting. First update. To everyone who commented on my earlier post, thank you. I cried reading your kind words. In a good way. So, here's what happened next in this absolute telenovela of a situation. Cody, sweet, awkward Cody from Ryan's workplace, revealed that Ryan wasn't just lying to me. He was spinning fantasies at the office too. According to Cody, Ryan told coworkers he dumped me because I was clingy and always pressuring him about marriage. I laughed out loud. Me? The same girl who had to convince Ryan to go on 2 dates a month? Please. Also, the Pinterest board? Yeah, the one labeled Future Home Ideas. He made that. Claimed it was for work. Then Cody dropped the biggest bomb. Ryan was under probation at work. He'd been caught taking credit for projects he didn't do. That presentation he bragged about? Someone else's ideas, someone else's hours. His late nights? Not to impress his boss, to fix the mistakes he made while lying. By the time Vanessa came over that night with dumplings and Diet Coke, I was buried under revelations. She found me cocooned in my comforter, full-on emotional burrito mode. My apartment was a mess. Dishes piled up, laundry everywhere, and a disturbing number of empty Doritos bags. Still, she sat with me, listened to me vent for the millionth time, and never once said I told you so. Even though she absolutely told me so. While we ate, she pulled up her text with Cody. They'd been talking a lot. Apparently, Cody was the office vault of Ryan-related chaos. And it got worse. Ryan wasn't just a liar, he was delusional. He told everyone I was unstable, dramatic, and obsessed with locking him down. I was still processing all of that when my phone rang. Tina, Ryan's mom. I almost let it go to voicemail. But Tina has always been kind, the type to remember birthdays and ask about your dog. So I answered. She sounded worried. Asked if everything was okay between me and Ryan. Apparently, he told his family we had a tiny disagreement, but we're totally fine. I nearly choked when she mentioned they were all excited to see me on Saturday for his birthday dinner. Oh no. He told them we were still together. That I'd be there. That we had news to share. After we hung up, I sat there, stunned, while Vanessa stared at me like I'd grown a third eye. Is he a narcissist? She asked. Or just a pathological liar? Honestly, at this point, maybe both. That's when we decided I wasn't going to just disappear. His family deserved to know who he really was. So, we made a plan. I wasn't out for revenge. I didn't want a scene. I just wanted the truth to speak for itself. So yes, I was going to show up to Ryan's birthday dinner, as invited, with a smile, and let the pieces fall exactly where they should. Before that, though, Cody and I met for coffee. It was strange at first. We only knew each other through Ryan, of all people, but Cody turned out to be kind, surprisingly funny, and refreshingly honest. He came with receipts. Turns out the team Ryan bragged about managing? 2 interns. That's it. The big presentation he led last month? He ran the PowerPoint. Literally clicked slides while someone else did the talking. Cody said he always felt weird about Ryan's stories, especially the ones about me. Apparently Ryan liked to tell the office I was high maintenance, even though I was the one paying for most of our dates by the end. What? Because Ryan claimed he was between paychecks. Translation: poor with money and full of excuses. Midway through our chat, Cody got a text. Emergency project. Saturday night. He was bummed, he'd had plans, but my brain immediately started spinning. What if, I said slowly, you needed to drop something off at Ryan's parents' house, during the dinner? He blinked, then grinned. The plan was forming. Just as we were ironing out the details, my phone buzzed. Ryan. First text since the disaster at the restaurant. We need to talk about what happened. I might have overreacted. Might have. I showed it to Cody. He almost spit out his coffee. Overreacting is when you get mad about cold fries, he said. Not humiliating someone in public and ditching them with a $300 check. I didn't respond. Let him sweat. The next 2 days were a whirlwind. I combed through old texts, matching dates and cross-referencing them with Cody's info. So many lies. So many. Work conferences, that never happened. Photos Ryan posted from company parties, actually lifted from the corporate website. Even the coworkers he bragged about impressing didn't know he existed outside coffee runs. Vanessa came over Friday night. We stood in front of my closet like it was a war room. A big part of me wanted to look stunning just to crush him silently with my glow-up. But we went with the smarter choice, simple, classy, effortless. A sleek black outfit Ryan once said, made me look average. I'd always gotten compliments in it. Now I knew. His insults were just negging, subtle digs to make me doubt myself. That night I barely slept. My brain kept spiraling. What if this all backfired? What if his family believed him? What if I froze? Saturday morning, I chewed my nails down to nubs and played through 17 different scenarios in my head. Midday, another text from Ryan. Looking forward to seeing you tonight. Wear something nice. My parents are excited. I didn't answer. Let him think whatever he wanted. I spent the afternoon getting ready. Hair, light makeup, deep breaths. Vanessa stayed with me the whole time, hyping me up whenever my confidence started to wobble. At 5:30 p.m. I got in my car. I had to pull over 5 minutes later because my hands were shaking so badly. I sat in a parking lot, doing guided breathing from a meditation app one hadn't opened in months. Was I seriously doing this? Was this insane? Should I just block Ryan on everything and walk away? Then I pictured him, sitting there, surrounded by family and friends, spinning his web of lies again. Maybe even painting himself as the victim. And just like that, I remembered why I was doing this. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming the truth. I arrived at his parents' house at 6:15, fashionably late, which I knew would absolutely drive Ryan crazy. Several cars lined the driveway. My stomach flipped, but I stepped out of the car and walked up to the door, head high, heart pounding. Cars already lined the driveway. It looked like the entire family was there. I checked my makeup one last time in the rearview mirror, took a steadying breath and stepped out of the car. Showtime. Ryan's dad greeted me with a warm hug and a bright smile, ushering me into a house that smelled like Tina's famous pot roast. For a second, I felt a pang of sadness. I'd always liked his family. This was probably the last time I'd ever see them. I stepped into the living room. Ryan was mid-laugh, drink in hand, surrounded by cousins. He froze when he saw me. His expression flickered, confusion, then panic, and finally a forced smile. He walked over and hugged me tightly, murmuring, "You actually came. We need to talk. Privately." I smiled sweetly. Loud enough for the room. "Of course I came. Especially after you told everyone we had big news to share." The color drained from his face. Tina clapped her hands together excitedly. His sister shot me a suspicious glance. His dad cracked a joke about finally having grandkids. Ryan tried to drag me away, but his mom called everyone to the table for dinner. The trap was set. I took my seat, Ryan beside me, visibly on edge. My phone buzzed. "Cody, 15 minutes out." "Game on." Ryan leaned over and hissed, "What are you doing here?" I tilted my head and said, sweetly and clearly, "Just thought your family should hear what happened at that restaurant, Ryan. I know they'll love that story." I swear, the dread on his face as his mother placed the roast on the table? Worth every anxious second getting here. The first part of dinner was awkward. Ryan kept trying to steer the conversation, tossing me warning glances every time I touched my fork. I just smiled and passed the bread rolls. Tina kept things upbeat, asking about my job, my family, small talk. Then, she casually mentioned how proud they were of Ryan's recent promotion. I nearly choked on my water. Ryan picked it up fast, launching into a speech about his team-crushing goals and being groomed for senior management. I let him dig, and dig, and dig. Then his dad, Ralph, usually the quiet one, asked about the Johnson account, some big deal Ryan had apparently bragged about leading. Ryan's answer? A bunch of vague jargon about strategic pivots and core competencies. Meant nothing. Across the table, Kayla, his sister, human lie detector, caught my eye. She raised an eyebrow like, "You hearing this?" Then Tina brought up the future. Does the big announcement have to do with taking the next step? Ryan nearly dropped his fork. His grandma jumped in with, "Are you two moving in together?" Ryan said you were apartment hunting. I had to bite my cheek not to laugh. The furthest we'd gotten was maybe sharing a Netflix account. Ryan tried redirecting again, babbled something about a new company card. I leaned in. "Oh yeah, for client dinners, right? Like the one we had last week. What was that place again, honey? The one with Leonard and Pablo?" He went ghost white. Just then the doorbell. Tina answered, delighted. "Oh, Cody. What a surprise." Ryan looked like he might throw up. Cody, button-up shirt and folder in hand, walked in like a man on a mission. "Sorry to interrupt, but Ryan wanted these signed before Monday." Tina invited him to stay for dessert. Ryan tried to usher him out, but Ralph insisted they do it right here at the table. "We're all family." Cody sat in the chair I'd saved beside me. Ryan gripped his fork like it owed him money. Ralph turned to Cody. "So how'd the big presentation go? The one Ryan was leading?" Cody blinked, then glanced at me, then Ryan. "Decision made. It went well, but our supervisor led it. Ryan and I assisted." Silence. "Ralph, that's not what Ryan told us." I stayed quiet, but smiled. Then Kayla, cutting straight to the chase. "What's Ryan's actual job title?" Cody squirmed. Looked at Ryan, then me. I gave a small nod. "He's an administrative assistant. In marketing." Absolute. Silence. Ralph lowered his fork. Grandma let out a quiet, Kayla muttered, "Knew it." Ryan jumped into damage control, spun stories about multiple roles and internal promotions. His relatives weren't buying it. And then came the final blow. Kayla asked about the dinner again. So I told them. How Ryan had invited me to meet his friends. How he mocked me all night. How he abandoned me with a $347 bill and walked out. Ryan tried to interrupt, calling me dramatic, saying I embarrassed him and that I was high maintenance. Leaving you with the bill was to teach you financial responsibility. His grandmother snorted. Loudly. Then Cody stepped in. Confirmed everything. He even showed Pablo's texts, literal screenshots of Ryan bragging about putting me in my place. Tina walked in with the cake just as Ryan was mid-tantrum. What did I miss? Everything, Tina. Everything. Nobody spoke for a moment. Then Ralph said gently, "We need to have a family discussion. About honesty." Ryan snapped. He launched into a full-blown rage, called me manipulative, accused Cody of betrayal, screamed that everyone was jealous of his success. Then, pointing at me, A girl like you should be grateful I even bothered with you. Gasp. Literal gasps. His grandma whispered something that sounded suspiciously like a swear word. Kayla just shook her head. I stayed calm. The only thing I'm grateful for is finally seeing who you really are. Ryan stormed out, slamming the door so hard one of Tina's decorative plates fell and shattered. Aftermath? Quiet. Tina apologized to me again and again. Ralph looked tired. Broken. Kayla helped mop up the water. Cody apologized too, for the mess, for his part, for not saying something sooner. Then, the strangest thing. They insisted I stay for dessert. So there I was, Ryan's ex, his co-workers and his family eating birthday cake. Without the birthday boy. And it wasn't even awkward. Later I helped Tina clean the kitchen. She kept saying she had no idea. She looked heartbroken, not just over what he did, but over who her son had become. I told her it wasn't her fault. As I was leaving, Ralph pulled me aside. Thank you. For being honest. He looked like a man trying to understand where it all went wrong. I told him the truth. Ryan made his own choices. He built the lies. And now he'd finally run out of room to hide. If you're down, I can help you write a short epilogue. Like what happened after, if Ryan tried to reach out again, or if you kept in touch with his family. Wanna? Security arrived. Ryan was sitting on the hallway floor yelling about betrayal, fake friends, and something about Hollywood-level manipulation. The security guard, who I'd only ever seen nodding politely in the elevator, went full authority mode. He told Ryan he needed to leave immediately or the police would be called. Tina stepped out into the hall trying to talk him down, but it was no use. Ryan saw her and said something about her choosing strangers over her own son, which, yikes. Kayla stepped into the hallway too, arms crossed like a disappointed principal, and told Ryan flat out, "You did this to yourself." That's when Ryan turned to me, pointed, and screamed, "She's the reason my life is falling apart." Which, honestly, I kind of took as a compliment. He was finally escorted out by security, still muttering about betrayal and karma. I peeked out the peephole to see him stumbling toward the building exit, security close behind. The minute the door shut, Tina just collapsed into one of my dining chairs and started quietly crying. I grabbed some tissues and we all just sat there for a while, the kind of stunned silence you can only get after your unhinged ex tries to reenact a dramatic soap opera scene in your hallway. Eventually, Tina pulled herself together enough to apologize again, like deeply apologize, and said she was going to help him get professional help, even if it meant dragging him there herself. Kayla stayed behind a bit longer to help me draft a message to building management and start documenting everything. Cody, MVP of the day, offered to be a witness if I needed a restraining order. Bless him. As of now, Ryan's social media is deactivated. I haven't heard from him since. But I've kept everything. Screenshots, texts, voicemails, the video my neighbor sent me of him yelling in the hallway. Yes, she recorded it, bless her too. Just in case. So that's it, for now at least. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know I'm surrounded by people who have my back, even if they used to be his family. And that feels pretty incredible. I've got a weird mix of emotions right now, exhaustion, relief, a bit of sorrow for what could have been, but mostly, I just feel free. Like I can finally breathe again. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. Your support has meant the world. I'm going to go have a pastry, make another cup of tea, and start the next chapter of my life. One that doesn't include any more self-made CEOs, who can't even pick up a dinner check. Game over, Ryan. Or worse, married him before uncovering the chaos he was hiding behind that fragile mask of success. In a way, I feel incredibly lucky, not for the experience itself but for the chance to get out before things went any deeper. It taught me that no matter how put together someone seems, it's their actions under pressure that reveal who they really are. And honestly, I'm proud of how I handled it all. I didn't let him break me. I stood my ground. This whole journey reminded me that your peace is priceless. If someone constantly makes you feel unsure, small, or drained, you have every right to walk away. It's not weakness, it's self-respect. The red flags were there, I just didn't want to see them at first. But once I did, I listened to that inner voice telling me something was wrong. And I acted on it. To anyone out there feeling confused or doubting their worth in a relationship, trust your gut. You are not asking for too much. You are not too sensitive. You are allowed to want honesty, kindness, and consistency. It's better to be alone than to be with someone who makes you feel lonely, even when they're right beside you. If this story resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever escaped a situation that seemed perfect on the outside but was toxic underneath? Share your experience in the comments. It might help someone else going through the same thing. And if you found this story powerful or relatable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You never know who might need a little reminder that they deserve better, and that walking away is sometimes the bravest thing you can do.